So in this video, what I'm going to show you is how to properly set up a GCC, which is a compiler for C, how to set it up manually, and then manually compile and run your code on a Windows computer. Now, I'm going to be teaching this course on a Linux machine, but to make sure that you and I are on the same page, I am deliberately sort of showing you this setup so that you don't have any problems compiling and running your code. Now, the first step that I want you to do is you open up PowerShell on your computer. And as you can see, this is called the PowerShell. Let me make the font a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to properties and just make the font a little bit bigger so that you can see it. Maybe 24. That is enough. So here, if you type in GCC right now, it will actually throw an error. And in the terminal is where you compile and run your program, because you might have seen, if you have done a little bit of C, that your programs end up running in the terminal and they output their content to the terminal, or they take input from the terminal, which is not something that we are concerned with right now, but we want to set up GCC in a proper way. So again, if you type in GCC in your PowerShell, you should get a similar kind of a thing, unless you have GCC configured, of course. If you already see that it says, if you get an output like fatal error, no input files, then you can simply skip this video. You don't need to worry about anything else. But if you're getting an something like this, then let us see how we can install GCC on the machine. So first things first, I'm going to go to my browser here, which is Microsoft Edge in this case. I don't use Windows that often, so I have the Edge default browser. I'm going to say download GCC for Windows 10. If you have Windows 11, it doesn't matter. You can simply use this link. So the link that you have to go to is this sourceforge.net project/GCC Win64. If you click on it, you will actually be taken to this page. Again, you can simply just copy this link. I'm showing you this link directly. So you can simply copy it and then click on this download. And once you do actually download it, since I have done this already, in my downloads folder, if I go to my downloads folder, you can see you'll get this kind of file, which is a 7z file, GCC 11.1.0 for me, because I'm using the latest version as of recording this video. But for you, it might be a different version. I don't know if it's the latest version even, but this seems to be the version that I am using on my machine. For you, it can be totally different. It doesn't matter. But what I want you to do afterwards is extract this. And to extract this, you will need something called 7z, which is a program to extract 7-zip files. If you have WinRAR, of course, you can do it. But the point is to extract this into a folder, which I have done already here. So if I right click, I should see a 7-zip, 7z option, which I don't see right now is because I uninstalled 7z. So if you don't see any option to kind of extract it or anything here, what I want you to do is go back to your browser, type in download 7-zip. Here this should be 7-zip, so let's go back and put 7, and this is the link that you need to go to. I will of course put the links that I'm using here in the description of this video, but who knows how correct they'll be after some time, so better just search it yourself. Once you do that, you can click on this first download button here. Once you do that, of course, you will see this setup here, so I can just click on it now and then click yes, and then click install. This will install the 7-zip extractor. So I can close this, and now if I right click, I should see this option of extracting it to a folder, and you will click on this one, extract to GCC-11.0.1-no-debug, which I have done already to save some time. And once you do that, you will actually see a new folder that is created here, and inside which you will see all these files. So first of all, what I want you to do is just pause the video. If you didn't extract it, just right click and then say extract to this. That will create a new folder here. Once you do that, you'll see all these files inside this folder. Now, it's not a good thing to keep this folder here, because you might accidentally delete this folder later in the future or do something with it. It is a best practice to keep this folder. So I can simply maybe cut this folder here, and I can go to this PC, my local disk C, program files x86, and then simply paste it here. because and it will ask you for administrative permission, so you say continue. And the reason why, because it's much harder to manipulate this folder. As you can see, when I pasted something in, it asked me to, actually it told me to give the administrative privileges, which is why it's best to kind of keep this folder inside program files x86. And once you do that, of course, you'll see the same exact files there, nothing will change. And you might think that, okay, you have successfully installed GCC, but actually that is not the case. If we, open up PowerShell again here, and we go to PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, which is, it's saying it's recent, so I'll just open it. If I again go to PowerShell, you might expect that this is working, but it's actually not working because we didn't add this to the path of the system. The term GCC is not recognized, so it still says that. And the reason is it doesn't yet know where the GCC is. It doesn't know that GCC is in this program files, and the executable is actually in this bin folder. Here is where the GCC is. This is the program that we are sort of interested in. So you need to tell your system where GCC is, and to do that, it's a simple, you need to add an environment variable to Windows. If you know how to do that, you can do it. But if you don't know how to do it, you basically, go to that folder in which this executable resides. Copy this path that you get here. Once you click on this, you can actually copy this path. And then I want you to go to this PC and right click here in this area. You'll go to properties, and you should see this kind of window, followed by advanced system settings, environment variables, and then here is where you have to add the path in Windows. This is how you do it in Windows. This is a general kind of a thing. So you'll call this variable name path, and then you will paste that thing that you just copied. And once you, of course, hit OK, click OK here, click OK here, you can close all of this stuff now. And I don't actually know how to source PowerShell, so I'm just going to close this and maybe restart. So I'm going to say PowerShell and start the PowerShell again. This time, it should not give you an error saying it's not recognized, but GCC should basically start and giving you a different kind of an output here. This is the output that we are interested in. GCC exe no input files. This is exactly what we're looking for. If you did get this far in the video and you did get this output, then congratulations, your GCC, the C compiler that we will use in this course, is successfully installed. Beautiful. Now how do we write our C code? Because obviously we cannot type in here. We could, but we're not going to do that. And obviously we're not going to use code blocks or anything. We will use what is known as VSCode, this Visual Studio Code. And to download this guy, you need to go to your browser, just type in download VSCode, hit enter, and you will go to this first link here, code.visualstudiocode.com. And here is where you will download this. I have already done it, basically installed it already. So I don't need to do it again, obviously. But once you install, it's a pretty straightforward process. Once you click this, it will give you an installer. Click on that. And then finally, you should be able to install VS Code. Once you, of course, do it, it will create a shortcut here on your desktop, hopefully if you did everything correct. And then once you double click it, you will actually see something going on, which is what we are interested in. I'm going to close this thing. And you will actually see a window like this. It might even give you a welcome screen or something, but you can just close it, it's fine. But this is the text editor that we will use. Now it has a built-in terminal. As you can see, if I click on new terminal here, it does have a built-in terminal. And if you click on that, it should start in just a second. Since I'm on a virtual machine, it's taking a little bit of a time, but for you, it should be pretty fast, pretty straightforward here. Let's close this. And the terminal has started. Hopefully it's taking a little bit of time because I'm on a virtual machine, so you'll have to bear with me on that. I'm not going to be using this in the course, but this is just to show you how to set up everything. So by now, hopefully you should have installed GCC, installed Visual Studio Code, and roughly you should be on this screen here. If it gives you a welcome screen or something, just close it, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But here, if you also type in GCC, you should see that same error, fatal error, no input file, which is completely fine. This is completely fine. The only reason this is happening is because we're not giving it a proper input, but that is completely fine. If you got this far, this is amazing, right? Now, what I also want you to do before we look at how to compile program and how to basically run a simple C program just to get it going, just to test if everything is working, I want you to create a folder on your desktop. Create new folder, and you can call it like your daily C. Like that, your daily C, and then click on file. You can actually just close this. You can click on this dustbin icon, go to file, open folder, go to your desktop and click on this your daily C and click select folder. That will refresh VS Code, and it will open this folder in your Visual Studio Code. You can actually just close it. As I said, if it gives you this getting started, you can simply close it. It doesn't matter. So now we are inside this folder, and what I will do here is I'll create a new file using this icon. You can see that there is an icon here, or you could simply do a file, new file, I guess. But here is where you will do it. It will create a file in this folder, or in this folder, so to speak, in this folder. Let me just put it side by side so that you can see it. So if I click on new file, I'll call this file main.c. And again, why this has to be main.c, why is this the way it is, we'll discuss this in the class. But here, just make sure you do everything that I say, just to make sure if your setup is working properly. Because oftentimes what happens is you will learn, you start learning, but then your setup is not properly configured. So what you should do is spend some time on your machine and follow along this video, and then you'll be able to set everything correctly and be able to follow along with this course much easier, in a much easier way. So you'll hit main.c, hit enter, and that will allow you to edit this file also. And you can see right away this creates a main.c file here. You can see the type is C file. We can actually close this and make this a little bit bigger, and then I can put some C code. And right now, if you don't know C code, you can simply not worry about it. This is just to show you how things will be there in the code. But you can simply type it in, and then type in exactly what I'm typing, and then see if it's working for you. So say printf, let me say hello world from your daily C, and let's put an end of statement here. Just put this exact same code in your VS Code, and after you do that, go to terminal, new terminal here, and then let's wait for it to finish. And then here, what I want you to do is I want you to say GCC -o main space main.c. Again, what this is, let's not worry about that right now. Let's just see if this program compiles. So what I'm telling is GCC is I'm invoking the compiler, telling it to give me an output file, calling that main, and giving it the source file main.c. That's it. Let's hit enter and see what happens. You can see that it went through and it created this main.exe file. So this main.exe file is what we'll be able to run. So on Windows, you need to say /main. And if we hit enter, we should see this output, hello world from your daily C. Again, if you got this far in the code, congratulations, you did successfully install GCC on your machine. You also wrote your first C program, which if you don't know, you actually did write a C program here, a little bit of C. Again, what this is, hash include, whatever this is, all of this stuff, it will make sense in the class. But right now, I just want you to follow this video one-to-one and see if you can get this far in the video. This will be the procedure, to actually write a C program, compile your C program, and then finally run it. We will not be using any, editors like code blocks or devc, which make your life a little bit easier. But I think it is best to kind of fully engross yourself when you're learning C programming. This is Ankit Masoodi, your instructor, signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.